Hello, everybody. I'm back with a crypto market update. It's been a long time. We'll go through it all here for you, and we'll start with everybody's favorite. Where are we in the cycle, the 4-year cycle that in crypto sort of keeps repeating? It's sort of like the famous, what's it called, the Gartner hype cycle, the boom, the bust, and then the boring low. It's sort of human nature. But in crypto, it just keeps happening like a heartbeat every 4 years. Now, also, we're going to get into what I think is going on, the fundamentals of crypto and what's happening. And that's what you should always invest on. Don't invest on these price predictions because they can be wrong. A pattern repeats itself until it doesn't. But at the same time, it is fun to do, and we keep doing it. And with crypto, it just seems to keep working. So, the cycle, the boring low, you start to ramp up, and then it goes crazy, peak, and then a crash, and then the next boring low. The key is this boring low, and this one is lower, right? So if you hold, you're still doing well, but if you take some off here and get back in here, you do even a lot better. For beginners, or if you're just a small part of your portfolio, just a little, you just hold, because this looks easy, not easy for a million reasons. Okay, so where are we? So 2022, we hit our low. It was plugging along. It was just sort of a gradually going up. It was an easier boring low than usual. Usually boring lows, you get like a big drop at the end that scares the hell out of everyone. But we started ticking up, and then Bitcoin ETF, I think it was late 2023, we started going up, and we were like this. It was ahead of schedule. I was like, oh my God, this cycle is going to be faster than ever. And then we bummed out, and it was flat for a long time. We had a big dip even. And then Trump passing bills, legalizing crypto, and we're running here. Okay, so where are we? We're right around here. So Bitcoin. So the other thing in the cycle, it is the tradition that Bitcoin runs first. ETH comes on late, like, Larry Bird in the fourth quarter Celtics years ago I used to watch, and he just, raining in the threes and we'd win. ETH comes on strong in the end and somehow passes everybody. And maybe it's not going to happen, but ETH all of a sudden is outperforming. And then all the shit coins pile in. So Bitcoin also peaks first, then ETH, then the shit coins, right? Last cycle, it was NFTs. NFTs were one of the last things to peak. So we're around in the middle. And when we were, a few months ago, it was like, I don't know. I don't think the 4-year cycle's happening anymore, because the pattern is that late 2025 or early 2026 is the overall peak for the whole market, which is months away. I mean, we're practically, it's the end of 2025 now. So either this thing is just going to keep running like a rocket ship for the next 3 to 6 months, or there's no 4-year cycle. Now, keep in mind, ETH is at almost 5,000. The prophecy is that it would hit 10,000. Granted, I think last cycle I thought it would hit 10,000. But that's 100% from here. That can happen in a week, right? So, remember my famous, I call it famous, video, February 2021, where I said, start planning your exit strategy. I think we're there now. You better know what your plan is. And people are always like, are you selling? Well, first of all, I have too much ETH. I'm retired. You may have a situation. I had a situation in 2021. I was buying a house, so you're going to sell more depends on what, you sell, you have a portfolio and you have a life and you make decisions on that. It's not just like, should I sell today? Because you can't think like that. But the thing you want to think is that when you're in the lows, that's when you want to be accumulating the most. And not here. Nobody should be waiting for this one day when you're going to sell, because your desire to sell, the psychology of the cycle, okay, is when you are here, you definitely don't want to buy. You know why you don't want to buy? Because you think it's going lower. And everything is bad and you can't see anything good. That's why the price is low. It's also why you don't want to buy. Then, when we're here now, you want to buy. Why? It's going up. It looks good. You'll hear me say, oh, and it's going higher. Why wouldn't you buy? So now you didn't want to buy here. You want to buy here. And when you're buying here, you're all thinking, oh, and you know what? I'm going to sell here. Guess what? When you're here, you're going to think you're here. It's going higher. You're going to want to sell even less. The higher it goes, the less you want to sell. It is a dangerous game to be playing. This is, to me, once ETH gets into 5,000-6,000, to me, that's the most dangerous time in the market, because everybody wants to get in. And why wouldn't I? It's going to go higher. They think they're going to sell at the top. They won't. Probably will buy more. And then, I'm going to hold forever. And I always say, don't buy, because you'll be able to get it cheaper in 2 years. And just wait. Okay. So, listen. Is ETH going to 10? I don't know. On one hand, I hate this price prediction thing, but here we are. But it seems right now like, I don't know, it's looking good. Now, so anyways, if you have a lot, if this thing is 1% of your portfolio, if crypto is 1% of your portfolio, and you don't, who even cares? Yeah, I don't know, maybe you hold it, or maybe you literally do go for the, oh my God, it's so much money, and you try to go for the one sell here. But if you have a fair amount, you want to do dollar cost average selling. That is, you want to have a plan. This whole, I think we're here. The best time to sell is here. And this could be 6 to 12 months, right? So what percent of crypto is your portfolio, your total savings in life? And what should it, when crypto's price is here, what percent should crypto be of your whole life, right? That's the question. So let's say your whole portfolio, when crypto was here and low, what percent was it? Let's say you were like, oh, I got a fair amount of crypto. I've got 10% of my portfolio is crypto when it was at the lows. And because I think it's going to go higher, and that's a decent sized bet to have 10%. Maybe it's more, whatever, right? Now, it goes up this much, outperforms. When you are in this range, look at your portfolio. Put all your assets in a spreadsheet and look at what percent, if it was 10% here, when you're here, or even today, it might be 30% of your net worth is now in crypto, right? And then it goes higher. It's 40%. And you think to yourself, okay, I thought it was a good idea for it to be 10% when it was low and no one liked it. Now, you want it to be 40% when it's been going straight up? That's not smart, right? I would almost look at what percent of your portfolio was it when it's here, and your goal should be get back to that. That's a sort of a good metric, like psychologically, right? So let's say it was 10% here, it's 30% now. So if your goal then is to get back to 10%, that means look at your portfolio. That means if you were to sell your crypto to get back to 10%, how much is that? Do the math in your portfolio, and then take that amount and divide it by 6 or 12 months and sell that amount every single month. And keep watching it, because what happens when it's going straight up is you sell a chunk, and then the price goes up so much that your percent is actually higher the next month. Listen, if you're lost here, you know what? I got a deal here too. We're going to talk more about the fundamentals. if you want to have, I'm offering free sort of coaching, mentoring, review your portfolio, 45 minutes on a Zoom call, but only if you sign up at mylaunchteam.com/101. 101. It's free. You just join your email so that you're on my list to get my book, Financial Literacy 101. Okay. Here's my thing. My marketing book manager tells me, don't talk about what you want, but I'll tell you, I don't know. If this thing can be number one in Amazon for one day, then I can use that trying to make a course for high school kids, teaching them financial literacy based on this book. So I just want you on my list. That's it. All you have to do, sign up your email, get on the list, and then you get a chance to, you can get the book for free. You got to follow on the email. We're going to have like 2 days where it's free, and then it's 99 cents, and then it'll be full price. And because we just want people to get in there, buy the book on Amazon when it launches, October 13th, leave a review. That's what I'm working on. And so we have some benefits. One of the benefits is a free coaching thing. Now I'm only doing it if you're on that list. It doesn't cost you anything, literally, and whatever. So mylaunchteam.com, mylaunchteam.com/1101. Okay? Put in your email, and then if you have specific questions on what to do with your portfolio, listen, if you have a little question, put it in the comments below. It's fine. I don't care. But some people want to really go through stuff and make a plan here. Happy to do it. Happy to scratch your back if you scratch mine. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So is that everything with the cycle? Okay. Next, let's talk about, ETH and Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin ran first. Here's the thing. As I said in 2022, you should have at least 10% in Bitcoin. Thank God, because I'm not a Bitcoin fan. Now, that doesn't mean that Bitcoin's horrible. It doesn't mean that I'm an idiot because it ran up a lot. It's not, I don't want to make this an ETH versus Bitcoin thing. It just doesn't jive well. I don't believe in the security model. I like platforms. It's not a platform. And gold as digital gold is this thing. And so I do own some, but I don't. So I'm not a huge fan. I've liked ETH better. And, one thing I always say, narrative follows price. Narrative is the story, what everybody's talking about. And a lot of people think, buy when there's a good narrative. No, the narrative follows the price. So what you have, the narrative for ETH, it's the platform for all the stable coins. It's the platform for DeFi. This is where all the banks are going to move. This is the narrative. This is a narrative that I said 2 years ago. It's not the narrative. That's the truth. It's just reality. I mean, it's not like, this is what we're talking about. It's, no, 80% or more, or, if you know the 80-20 rule, that 20% of one thing gets 80% of the benefits, and look up 80-20 rule. But with DeFi especially, activity on crypto in general, 80% of the activity is on the Ethereum chain, right? So that's been true for, since 2019. It's not like, now there's this narrative. That is a narrative. That is a story that has been true. So then what happens when price is low? Everyone's like, we need a story. Okay, Ethereum sucks for these reasons. It sucks for that reason. Now price is going up. Everyone's like, okay, well, what is the story? We need a positive story. Let's talk about that one. You see what I'm saying? So don't follow the narrative. The reality is Ethereum is the place for DeFi. And I love DeFi. That's the other thing for me. I mean, there's other things happening out there. I think DeFi is a huge number. That's finance, borrowing and lending, Aave. You know what? Let's not talk about other apps. Anyways, So I go with ETH, and then the price was in the doldrums. And, I hated that, right? It's like, my favorite is underperforming. The one I say isn't as good is overperforming. Now ETH is catching up. Maybe it won't even catch up. The point is, you have to own things you believe in. Because when you're in the depths of the lows, when we were at 2022, I wasn't like, oh no, this thing will never come back. Because I believe in it. If you have something that you're just chasing because today's narrative is good, when the narrative turns bad and prices are down, then you're going to end up selling, right? So this is what I believe in. And even the roadmap, right? These L2s, I think they're doing well. You got Coinbase Coinbase using Base as an Ethereum layer 2 is a core part of their strategy, and it's going great. Who else has the L2? Tether? Tether is like the biggest company, let alone crypto company and stable coins. I mean, it's like the greatest #1 product market fit in all of crypto. They're building on an L2. So I don't know. It's working. And meanwhile, Ethereum, the base chain, is like, it had some improvements. The fees are low. People are coming back there. The liquidity is unbeatable for volume and apps on the Ethereum main chain. I think Ethereum's been doing great. I think it's been doing great the whole time. It's just the price was low, so everyone's mad. And now the price is going higher, so now everyone thinks it's great. Anyways, and another thing regarding these other stable. So let's talk about, also Robinhood, also a layer 2 chain, like the #1 regulated brokerage trying to get into crypto, also chooses an Ethereum layer 2, right? So the roadmap, remember, layer 2s, it's the worst. It's destroying Ethereum. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, layer 2s are good. Why? Because the price is up. Okay, so there's also one more thing on layer 2. Oh, Circle and Stripe, they're making their own L1, right? Their own chain. Never mind. They're not using an Ethereum L2, which is an easy way to spin up a chain and have security. They're not using one of the other L2s, right? Your Solana and Aptos and all these new layer 1s, ghost chains. Nobody's using any of those. Well, not nobody. Anyways, they're not using any of that. They're going to make their own L1. Oh, this is proof that Ethereum's no good because look at what they're doing. Here is my prediction. This is retarded. It's not going to work. They're going to either move to an existing, maybe they go to Solana. Maybe they go to whatever, some other chain. Or, most likely, they convert their L1 into an Ethereum L2. Eventually, they will learn. And, why am I so much smarter than them? To me, it's just physics. They have a business they want to do, but they're going to try to create a base trust layer for their business. Okay, that's my prediction. Okay, so I'm not, do I worry about it? No, people do stupid things. Another one too, Ronin is a gaming, they did, what was that? It was the biggest game out there in 2021. God, I forget the name. Anyways, one of the biggest big gaming companies, they are going to make their own L1, which they did, and they decided, you know what, we're going to turn it into an L2. You know why? So they could focus on gaming. It's like a different business, and Ethereum, when it comes to a platform to ensure trust, Ethereum is here. Here's Ethereum, right, as a trust layer for settlement, decentralized, is here. All the other L1s on that metric are just way down here. And then you want to create a new one? It's insane. And meanwhile, why do they want the L1? So they can build their business. Well, you're going to spend all your time trying to, it's not even on the screen, my little dot, you're trying to build your little L1 so it can come up and people will trust it, and then you can build your business. Or just roll up an L2, build your business. and listen, I'm not saying people should do that because I want them to do it. It's physics. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, yeah. All right. So now, stable coins, right? Dollar pegged tokens. And in fact, thank you, one of the listeners. So if you sign up for my book, I love these unplanned advertisements, at mylaunchteam.com/101. You can actually download the PDF right now. One of my listeners, he's probably listening right now. He read it. I got a little section on crypto. He's like, hey, you didn't mention, I mentioned stablecoins, but talking about how it's sort of an alternative banking and money market for savings for people outside of the US. He's like, you should put that in the book. And like, I was listening and I'm like, actually, you're right. Really good point. I had like one paragraph on stablecoins. Like, come on. So, so if the editing is going to be done September 8th, then I'm closing it. Okay. But if you literally sign up now, you can get a PDF, read it. And if you like literally find a spelling error, like email me. I'm editing. Help me. Thank you. But it might be fun for you also to be involved in the process, giving feedback. Feedback from you guys has definitely been helpful. Multiple people in the book giving me ideas and correcting errors. Anyways, where was I? So, stable coins. I'll assume you guys know what stable coins are. Let's just talk about, you have to me, one thing I always talk about is the winners win, right? Everyone, because the scammers try to tell you, oh, tiny little things are going to grow faster, right? What's been the number one performing crypto? Bitcoin, the biggest one. But no. Tiny little ones, those grow the most. Oh, because they can grow the most. And because 1 out of a million grow a lot, you should just give me all your money and buy this tiny shit coin that I'm telling you is going to go up more than the big guy. No. The big guys tend to keep winning, right? Which new social network has done well? Which new search engine past Google? None of them. You get that leadership position, you hold it. Tether, the 80-20 rule. Tether might, I don't know that, anyone can pass them, right? You've got Circle, USDC, they're there, they're big. I don't know, I don't think it's going away. So how do we invest? One of the things, one way to invest is, Ethereum, the platform, is going to handle or final settlement for most of the stable coins. So I think ETH, is a way to play stable coins. There are a couple other ways. And so as far as buying other tokens, I've always been, here's the thing. Other tokens, they can do well. There's some, but it's so hard. And like, I have ones that I love and then they fuck up. Remember FX at Frax? Talk about Frax. Stablecoin play. This is why, so the FXS token, this is why you got to be so careful of buying any token, okay? So you got FXS, stablecoins, and they were big, right? It was like the second or third biggest when I got into it in 2021? No, 2020 maybe, in 2019, I don't remember, 2020. One of the biggest stablecoin providers. Building great tech. I think the Frax tech is amazing, right? So, and stable coins, I know, is the biggest thing, and I don't know if I imagine the timeline would be this fast for it being legalized, and then what happens? All of a sudden, what did they do? Oh, let's make our own L1. The other reason to doubt these new L1s is, has it ever worked? I forgot, I was going to look up Unichain to see how they're doing. I'm hearing decent things, like I don't think it's a total failure. And maybe Unichain is the first one. And if anybody's going to do their own chain, Tether is an L2. If anyone could make their own L1, I would say maybe Tether, but they're not even trying. They made their own chain. They built all this tech. Nobody uses it. And they would launch, they're launching this new thing. And then it was all great stuff. No one's using it. The stable coin, the circulating supply of the stable coin just keeps going like this. So, I loved it. And then 6 months later, I was like, oh shit. Right? And so it moves so fast. It's very hard. Any tokens, you're confident 1 minute and then realize you fucked up the next. With Ethereum, it can lag like it has. It could be in the doldrums for a long time, but it's not going to zero. Frax could go to zero. I'm not predicting it, and God, they're in the best place. Like it's a shame, and great tech, and like they just can't fucking do it. I don't know. Anyways, but for stable coins, so I'm very reluctant to recommend any tokens because I'm not making videos frequently, and one of my problems is I make this video and 4 months later I hate this token. And then, then I don't make a video to tell you, and you listen to me and you're like, oh, you still like that thing? I'm like, no, I hated that 3 years ago. So anyways, the only ones I have a little confidence to mention. So Sky was formerly MakerDAO. And just Rune, who runs it, is a genius, always early. It's one of the biggest decentralized stable coins. It's really well run. It's unique. Research, I like Sky, and then, I've mentioned Athena, but it's already, I don't know. I don't know if it's doing well right now. They just went from 5 billion stablecoins in circulation to 10 billion, right? They're the opposite of Frax, talking about growth. Will it continue? I mean, I barely understand it. That's this ENA, but it just ran, and I don't understand it. I don't want to recommend it, but truth be told, I might have a little. And the only other thing, I've talked a lot about Aave. I got scared in the last downturn with the curve crisis, and there was going to be a bankruptcy of some kind, and nothing ever happened. I got a little effed up with that, selling it and buying it back higher. But anyways, Aave. Well, now, what does that got to do with stablecoins? Aave, the largest borrowing and lending, probably the largest app. Again, great founder running it. Oh my God, I forgot his name. Anyways, founder here is fabulous. And what's the biggest token? And with more liquidity coming in, where's it going? A lot of it's going to Aave. Aave also, the amount locked up and lending is just going straight up. For years. So those two, I'm pretty confident that if I don't make a video in 6 months, they're still going to be good. And if apps run, another narrative could happen is that, the apps are going to capture more value than the L1, right? In other words, if the apps on Ethereum will go up more than Ethereum itself, that in the long run, that I wouldn't be surprised if in the long run, like 10, 20 years, that is the reality, and Ethereum settles down and just is a boring platform. But I'm not sure if we're there yet. Okay, so what is this? Dollar. Okay. And then we got to talk about these Treasury vehicles. This is just, people call them DAT, Treasury deposit. I can't remember what the hell DAT stands for, but it's these Treasury companies, and the most famous, of course, is MicroStrategy, MS. Oh God, RT or TR? MSTR. I hope that's right. Sorry. You know what? I haven't been making videos as much, and I just wanted to get this out. I didn't do the normal amount of research that I do beforehand and have all my notes ready. So what these are, so you get a token, right? And also, I'm not going to be exact on how MSTR works, and all of these treasury companies have a slightly different way of doing it, but I'm going to dumb it down to the way I sort of basically understand it, is you've got Bitcoin. Let's say Bitcoin is selling for $100,000. Now you've got a treasury company, and what is it? And what is this? So this is a stock, right? So here's Bitcoin. Say Bitcoin is selling at today. You can go on Coinbase and buy it for $100,000. Okay? Can you see that? Let's make it a little bigger. So you can buy Bitcoin for $100,000. Now, here's a stock, right? And what does this stock own? It owns Bitcoin. Let's say this stock owns one Bitcoin. So in other words, you can buy one Bitcoin, or you can buy a stock that all it does is own one Bitcoin. So if you want to buy one Bitcoin, you spend $100,000. So how much should the stock be worth? Well, the stock owns one Bitcoin, so the stock should be worth $100,000. Now, what happens is you can buy Bitcoin for $100,000, but if you buy the stock costs, 200 or, let's give it a smaller number so people don't accuse me of being inflammatory here. The stock is $150,000, right? So in other words, if you buy the stock, which owns one Bitcoin, you're basically buying the Bitcoin for $150,000. Why would you do that? The only explanation is that people are there's some people go on and on about, well, there's some companies, it's the only way they can invest is that they have to buy a stock and then they can't get, they want exposure. You want exposure? Go buy the fucking Bitcoin. You're exposed. Why do you buy a stock that's overpaying for the Bitcoin? Then the stock will borrow money, right? So they can buy more Bitcoin. So now they got 2 Bitcoin, which is now, you would think is $200,000. But now, because people want to overpay, it's $300,000 for the stock for 2 Bitcoin. But now they have more Bitcoin. It went from $150,000 to $300,000, and it's expensive. People love that. So now people are like, oh, I'll pay $400,000 for the stock, which owns $200,000 of Bitcoin. In other words, it's one of these things, and we saw this with Grayscale last cycle, where the more expensive it gets, the more people like it. And then the more they borrow against it to get more of it, to make the price go up even more, so it gets even more and more expensive. For the life of me, I can't understand the logic. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And people look at me like I'm crazy. I don't understand why they do it. Now, so I don't buy these. Now, we can be happy they're there, because when you're in the cycle, remember, the 4-year cycle, you got your boom, your bust. The boom, we talked about this part. I also like to call this part of the cycle when the morons come in, right? You have to have the mass, crazy, stupid people, idiots, people who love things when they're expensive. You got to have them join in if you want a crazy top. So this is their way to get in. It's like, oh, you can buy Bitcoin. No, even better, I can buy it more expensive and it'll crash. Yay. This is what people like to do. So these treasury vehicles, and listen, I'm not saying they're 100% stupid. There's, with the Ethereum ones, it's like, well, then they can take the ETH and they can stake it, and then they can take those tokens and plug them into Aave and earn more yield, and they can do all this DeFi to increase the yield. And, so in a sense, it's not just one Bitcoin holding one Bitcoin. They're doing stuff and increasing the value of it. And, and then there are some people who can't buy, some institutions who can only buy a stock. And so this is better than nothing for them and whatever. So it's not all stupid, but it's mostly stupid. And then as far as MSTR, but a lot of people love to ask from MicroStrategy, is it going to crash and they're going to have to sell the Bitcoin? And, I think it's funny that people always ask, So I'm going to buy the stock MicroStrategy. Are you sure that MicroStrategy won't have to sell the Bitcoin? Because we don't want the Bitcoin price to go down. Well, first of all, if you're worried about the Bitcoin price, why don't you buy the fucking Bitcoin? Because what's going to happen in MSTR, if they have trouble, they're going to print a shitload of MSTR stock, right, and dilute the stockholders so that they don't have to sell the Bitcoin. So if you're worried about Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. If you MSTR, again, not a super expert, but it looks like Sailor will be fine and the Bitcoin will be fine. The only thing that won't be fine is all the people who bought MSTR. That's my, listen, I don't know. I'm giving, you all wanted me to make a video. As I said, I'm focused on writing this book and teaching the younger generation not to get screwed, right, financially. That's what I'm focused on. I'm not in the details here on some of this stuff. So my apologies if it's not exactly right. But I do think directionally I'm relatively confident here. Okay, last thing, just because it's always fun, and is, the stock market. I'm not going to start predicting where prices, but I do like, just want to talk about Tesla because I don't know why, but I want to. It's fun. I feel like, Tesla, the robo-taxis, so I have a Tesla. And if you haven't driven a Tesla, if you don't, the self-driving, it's here now. My favorite investment always is something is true today and people don't know it. That is way better than something will be true in the future and I know when it's going to be true in the future, and I know, you're predicting. I'm not predicting that Tesla self-driving is amazing. Not predicting that. It is today. I got a thing, you can get a phone holder that goes right over the steering wheel. I shouldn't mention this so they don't trade, but you can like watch your phone while it's driving. Now it's like, so, but okay, never mind that. Point is this, the self-driving is friggin' awesome. It is definitely better than me driving. I'm not a good driver, but it's just, now when I take over the wheel, it feels unsafe. Like, what am I doing? It's stupid. So anyways, and because you have the self-driving, you've got robo-taxis, right? Now, people are like, oh, Waymo's pretty good. Waymo's bigger than Lyft now in San Francisco. It costs them like $200,000 to make a Waymo car, and they have to make the cars. Tesla makes the cars way less than $200,000, and the existing cars on the road, I'm going to be able to come home, my car, and get out of my car and hit a button and let it go run around as a robo-taxi all night. I'm an Uber driver while I sleep. And there's millions of Teslas on the road. This robo-taxi business is huge. And I don't think people definitely don't understand the self-driving is here. And I think the transition to robo-taxi, there's probably the hardest part is the regulations in cities and all these things. And so there's a little bit of a timing with that. The robo-taxi is not here yet. So that is a speculation, but the hard part of robo-taxi is not turning it on. And it's not for Elon and friends to make an app. The hard part is the self-driving. It's done. This is super valuable. I don't think it's in the stock. Now, that being said, it's not like crypto and it's like, oh boy, next 6 months, looks like we're going straight up. It's in a different world. And when I first got into Tesla, 2015, after I read this book, this thing was flat and I was underwater on it for 4.5 years. And then it went up 1,000%. So, I don't know the timing, but long term. And then, the humanoid robots they got, the robots are coming, but that's not done yet, right? Those are not here. I mean, right, they're working on them and they're serving popcorn at the Tesla diner and all, but these aren't for sale yet that I see, and it's the use case. So this is a future. This will be the next run. The next big Tesla run, I think, will be based on this. And I think we're relatively close enough to like have some, and and definitely watch for this. So I like that as a long-term hold. And my other stuff, I don't know. I don't want to go. Listen, guys, here's the thing. I don't know. I used to live and breathe crypto 24/7. And I remember in 2019, I felt like you could put me in a room with Vitalik Buterin and whatever leaders of in crypto world were out there and have a roundtable discussion, and I'm up there with the best of them. I knew it all. That's no longer the case. You've got now banking types, and I'm sure there's someone at JP Morgan, going on all the chains, or in other, investors and venture. There's all these people spending 80 hours a week studying, using, building. And I'm not putting in the time. So I'm no longer, for those of you who love me because of 2021, when I fucking gave you the best advice every day for a year, and even before that, not every day, but I gave some good advice. I'm not saying this isn't good advice, but I'm no longer the smartest guy in every fucking crypto room. It's just the reality, okay? So just, whatever. That's the deal. Okay, so that's that. Let me know questions below. And again, if you want me to, I'm happy to do any, also just with career, a lot of this in my book, a lot of what I'm trying to get people to think about is their future in their career. Earning income is often, especially if you're young and you don't have a lot of money, how much money can you make from investing? Investing is compounding over years based on the size. One of the best ways to make money is income. So I'm also happy to talk to you about that. If you want to have a free coaching. Oh, we're also going to do a contest related to my book. And there will be some prizes of Bitcoin, ETH, Amazon card. And also, again, the opportunity to have a free coaching session. Happy to do it, but you got to sign up. Please. The goal, I would love it if you all, like literally, even if you get the book for free or it'll be 99 cents and leave a review, I will love you if you do that, okay? My launch team.com/101, okay? Just go there, you get it, sign, put your email in, hit confirm. Like, please, will you do that for me? Check out my emails, keep me posted, feedback on the book. I appreciate it all. And like I said, if you do this, you can also then get the book for free if you act within. It's going to be, it launches October 13th. Probably the weekend before is where it's going to be free and 99 cents. And get it. I don't care if you get it for free. I'm not going to get rich off selling the book. It's getting, it's the, first of all, it just organizes all my ideas and it's helping people, which I appreciate. It's a foundation for the course. It's also a credibility thing. For me, it's having lots of reviews. If I can get bestseller status for one day, it's a credibility thing. That's why I'm doing it. So if you get it for free or 99 cents, I don't care. I don't make any money, but it helps the next stage of the business. So I really appreciate if you can do it. And if you want me to love you, that as well too. Like email me, sign up, or when you get the book and you leave a review, then email me, say, hey, this is me, send me your picture and say, I did this for you and I will remember you. Okay? I will appreciate it. Do I ever ask? I don't think 2021, I made a video every single day. I never asked for a goddamn thing. Because actually, it's not for me. You know what I think of every day? These kids who graduate college, deep in debt, no clue what to do, no education. It's sad. And it's not that hard to fix. So let's do it. All right, guys, thanks for watching.